Question number 1. Which founding father is featured on the $100 bill but was never a U.S. president? Is it Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, or is it Alexander Hamilton? Benjamin Franklin never ran for president. By 1787, he was 81 and had already helped shape the nation as a diplomat, inventor, and statesman before the presidency even existed. Question number 2. Which building was painted white after being burned in the War of 1812 and officially named in 1901? Is it the Lincoln Memorial, U.S. Capitol, or is it the White House? It was painted white to hide burn marks left by British troops during the War of 1812. People called it the White House for years, but President Roosevelt made the name official in 1901. Question number 3. Which document announced America's independence from Britain? Is it the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, or is it the Bill of Rights? The Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson, explained why the colonies wanted freedom and marked America's birth on July 4, 1776. Question number 4. The U.S. flag has had 27 official versions. What caused each new version to be created? Is it military victories, addition of new states, or is it presidential elections? Each new version of the U.S. flag was made when a new state joined the Union. The stars were added to represent each state, with a last change in 1960, when Hawaii became the 50th state. Question number 5. Which U.S. president created the first military award that would later become the Purple Heart? Is it Ulysses Grant, Dwight Eisenhower, or is it George Washington? Washington introduced the Badge of Military Merit in 1782 for acts of bravery. Question number 6. Which building, completed in 16 months during World War II, holds the title of the world's largest office space? Is it the New York Stock Exchange, the Pentagon, or is it the United Nations headquarters? The Pentagon, built to house the U.S. Department of Defense, covers 6.5 million square feet and has over 17 miles of hallways. It was constructed quickly during World War II to meet the urgent needs of the military. Question number 7. Which U.S. monument gets about 8 million visitors a year, making it the most visited in the country? Is it Mount Rushmore, the Statue of Liberty, or is it the Lincoln Memorial? The Lincoln Memorial is a symbol of unity and freedom, and its famous statue of President Abraham Lincoln inspires visitors from all over the world. Question number 8. Which U.S. state was its own country for nearly 10 years before joining the Union in 1845? Is it Florida, Texas, or is it California? Texas declared independence from Mexico in 1836 and operated as its own nation until it became the 28th state. Question number 9. Which British king was ruling when the American colonies decided to become their own country? Is it King George II, King George III, or is it King Edward VII? King George III was the ruler of Britain when the American colonies declared independence in 1776. Many colonists felt his rules were unfair, leading to the Revolution. Question number 10. Mount Rushmore was meant to show full bodies, not just heads. Why wasn't it finished? Is it because they ran out of money, couldn't agree on the design, or is it the artist passed away? Mount Rushmore was never completed because the sculptor Gutzon Borglum died in 1941. After his death, funding ran out and World War II began, so the project was left unfinished. Question number 11. Which bird was considered before the bald eagle was chosen as the U.S. national bird? Is it the turkey, the owl, or is it the mallard duck? The wild turkey was the main alternative considered before the bald eagle was chosen. Benjamin Franklin even preferred the turkey, calling it a more respectable bird than the eagle. Question number 12. Which famous American icon once served as a lighthouse from 1886 to 1902? Is it the Empire State Building, the Brooklyn Bridge, or is it the Statue of Liberty? The Statue of Liberty was once a lighthouse, but its light wasn't bright enough to guide ships. Question number 13. Which U.S. president never married and had his niece serve as White House hostess? Is it James Buchanan, Grover Cleveland, or is it Woodrow Wilson? James Buchanan was the only U.S. president who never married. At age 65, he entered office with his niece, Harriet Lane, serving as First Lady, charming the public and setting a standard for future hostesses. Question number 14. Which war caused the most American deaths in U.S. history? Is it the Civil War, World War II, or is it the Vietnam War? The Civil War remains the deadliest conflict in U.S. history, with an estimated 698,000 deaths, more than all other American wars combined. Question number 15. Which popular term was inspired by Theodore Roosevelt's refusal to shoot a bear on a hunting trip? Is it bear hug, teddy bear, or is it honey bear? The story became a cartoon, and a toy maker's daughter thought Teddy's Bear would be the perfect name for the cuddly toy, named after President Roosevelt. Question number 16. What was the main issue that caused the American Civil War from 1861 to 1865? Is it trade with France, land disputes, or is it over slavery and states' rights? The main cause of the Civil War was slavery and states' rights. The North opposed slavery, while the South wanted to keep it, which ultimately led Southern states to leave the Union and led to the outbreak of war. Question number 17. How many U.S. presidents served as generals before becoming president? Is it 5, 8, or is it 12? 12 U.S. presidents served as generals before becoming president. Their leadership experience in challenging situations helped prepare them to guide the country. Question number 18. What was the author doing when he wrote the poem that became the U.S. national anthem? Is it sat under a mighty oak tree, watched a fort under attack, or is it witnessed cannon fire? Francis Scott Key wrote the poem while watching a British attack on Fort McHenry from a ship. He was inspired when he saw the American flag still flying at dawn. Question number 19. Barack Obama was the first black president and the first born in Hawaii. What other first is he known for? Is it won a Grammy Award, climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, or is it wrote a fantasy book series? Barack Obama was the first U.S. president to win a Grammy for narrating the audiobook of his memoir, dreams from my father. Are you ready for the very last question? Question number 20. What pet is believed to have lived in the White House bathroom during John Adams' presidency? Is it a parrot, an alligator, or a bunny? President Adams is said to have kept a surprising pet, a gift from a French general, an alligator that lived in a White House bathtub and amazed his guests. Subscribe for more. And don't forget to also like this video.